I've been running a development company for 3 years completely remotely, and I could have made progress, 2, 3, 5, 10 times faster if I had made better goals. That's one of the major reasons why I took longer to grow than I wanted to. I have consistently been growing every single year since I started, but I wanted to go way faster. I could have gotten that if I had set the right goals. My main issue was I was setting goals around outcomes. That was a major mistake, particularly because when you lack the skill, you don't know what inputs you need to get the outcome. And so, for example, if you've never built $1 million business and your goal is to build $1 million business, just saying that your goal is to do that is useless because you're not focused on the inputs that are going to get you there and you don't know what they are for certain. You need to test different inputs and find which one is going to move you there the fastest. When I say testing different inputs, what I'm talking about is like you need to test what are the actions that you need to take, what are the most important actions, and how do you take more of those? You need to focus on that action. What I realized is, especially for the first 2 years, my goals were generally around growth, maybe client value, acquisition, profit margins, like 100K a month, whatever. And that was a major flaw because I didn't realize that none of those goals tell me how to reach there. And I don't know how to reach there by default because I need to figure this out. Like I'm in the process of learning and doing and executing. What I've realized this year is like the goals that move me the farthest are the ones that are just focused on the inputs. My goal this year, for example, around content was to produce 300 videos. That was arbitrary. I didn't plan to do these daily things. When I switched to these daily things, I realized, oh, I'm gonna be able to hit that goal really easily. And making those 300 videos is the best thing I could have done because it gave me enough data and enough reps that I now learned so much about doing that thing, which I previously had no idea how to do. That was one of the most powerful things that I saw. For me, I never really thought about it like input versus output. I wanted to do something on YouTube, and this was a lot simpler to set a simple goal, and I knew that I just needed to execute and to do something. And so that became the goal there. And I've realized I need to drop any financial goals and just focus on the inputs because right now those are what I can control and what I know for certain. If I reach my input goal and my output does not change, so for example, my client value, my profit margins, my MRR, my monthly or annual recurring revenue, if none of those things change, then I know that the input I'm doing is wrong. And then at least I can adjust that. But if you just focus on the output, you're going to be trying a bunch of inputs and it's all a little bit disorganized. I lost so much time to just trying new shit that I didn't need to try. I lost so much time because I didn't do enough volume of things. You don't need to do like 5 or 10 outreaches. You need to do like 500 or 1,000, right? And so when you try lots of different things, you don't really do any of them properly. I lost so much time just trying and fiddling with things. And if I had just realized that I needed to focus on one input, double down on that completely. And in 3 months, if it doesn't change my output, okay, then maybe I need to reconsider that. But I would even say it's more than 3 months. You have to test for like 6 to 9 months. And so if you want to set better goals for 2025, work backwards from your goals and focus on a really simple input. And you can't do more than 3 or 4. In one area of your goals, you certainly shouldn't do more than 3 or 4 input goals. My goals going into 2025 are 4. And they're around hours doing marketing, videos produced, and meetings, number of meetings. And I'm tracking data across all of these meetings as well because I then want to learn from them. That's the point. You want to take a bunch of reps and you want to have some kind of data on those reps so that you can learn which were better, which were worse, focus on the top 10, look at the bottom 10 and remove whatever was wrong in those and do more of the top 10, learn from the traits that were there. And you just rinse and repeat that. It becomes way clearer. It's like really crystal clear. If your goal is focused purely around an input versus some arbitrary output, which is like 100K a month or something, there's a lot of things that go into 100K a month and you have to solve one at a time. And just focusing on one at a time is a hell of a lot easier rather than just throwing out a number. What you'll probably find is also you have no idea the work that it takes, the execution that it takes, the actual steps, the time. You can't instantly scale from 0 to 1 million, like from today to tomorrow, unless you have all the right things. So you don't know how long it might take you. It might take you 3 months, might take you 12, might take you 36. But if you don't know how long that is, you're just throwing yourself into some arbitrary race, but you have no way of measuring how realistic that is to achieve that in your vehicle. And so what's going to happen is you're really likely to not hit those goals, which was my case, right? I just threw out goals like 100K a month and something. I didn't really know what I was setting. It's extraordinarily powerful to focus on the inputs. I've been recording every day for the past year, and that's been one of the best things that I've done. Not necessarily just because of the output, but also because it helped me internalize this input thing, volume, data, and simple repetitions. Lower the bar so you can do more of it and then learn from all those reps that you've done. I'm lucky because I get a lot of analytics, and so I realized that all of the input goals I think you need to track as well. But you should absolutely focus purely on things that you can control. And then if the outcomes don't change, then you can consider changing your inputs. But it's a lot easier to just focus on the inputs as goals. Change the goals once if necessary. I think the other thing is people just set way too many goals and they change them too many times. I don't know how many people actually make goals and then stick to them. I return to my yearly goals on a weekly basis. So I do a weekly review every single week. I look at the goals for the year, I look at what I did, and I update my progress toward the yearly goals. I don't set weekly goals or anything. The weekly goals are contributing to the yearly ones. I think too many people set yearly ones and then they don't look at them again. And so they're never going to get accomplished if they're not constantly being looked at. And when I say look at, it's not about like pasting them on your car dash or your bathroom mirror or something, because you see that every day and eventually it just becomes wallpaper. You're not going to pay attention. It's going to be left on the wall and you're just going to zoom past it. You'll never stop to actually think and consider it. And so every single week when I say I revisit my goals, I write bullet points. Okay, what are the goals? I write the same thing every single week, but I answer the same question. What are the goals? What's the progress? And I have some other questions, but that's the bulk of it. It's just I write down what are the goals every single time. It's the same yearly goals. And then I just write about the progress made and what's next. Like, how are my actions working toward the constraints that are blocking me from solving goals? That's it. Revisit them, set them as inputs. It's not rocket science. I wish I could have hammered this into my head 3 years ago. So if you're somebody on a similar journey, that might be useful to you. Feel free to comment any questions. I record every day and I try and read as many comments as possible.